I'm going to start off by saying this. I've always wanted a Corvette Z06. Ever since the C6, and I was actually talking about this yesterday, I wasn't really a huge C5 Z06 fan to the point of which I wanted to buy one, but I did like them, especially the 505 HP badge on the side on the fender. And but since the C6 really caught my attention, and I remember there was a point in time where I was torn between a C6 Z06 and I think it was an E46 M3. And ironically, I think what I ended up buying in this time frame was, I did get an E46 M3 at some point, but then I ended up getting an E92 M3, and I never got the C6 Z06. Fast forward, 2017, 2018, I remember watching a Motor Trend video, and specifically Johnny Lieberman describing the Camaro ZL1 in one word: mighty. Then I invited my mom with me to an AJC Atlanta Auto Show, for which we went. And I sat inside of a ZL1, and the Recaro seat immediately caught my attention. And the next day I went and bought one. Now, granted, when I went to buy it, I still tried to go buy a C6 Z06, because I said, you know what? If I'm going to do this, if I'm going to buy this, GM V8 race car, essentially, at least I should get the car that I've always wanted, right? Well, I was unable to find a C6 Z06 that met the criteria, and I actually ended up test driving a C6 ZR1. And after driving that C6 ZR1, I thought to myself, there's absolutely no way I could enjoy this car on the street. And so I passed on that. And it was at a dealership. I think it was a Chevrolet dealership in Buford. And I'll see if I can find it, throw it up, if I can remember the name. And they had that, and I drove it, and I said, this is not the one for me. But they also had a brand new Camaro ZL1, or a few at the time. And I said, I'd like to test drive a Camaro ZL1. And they said, no, we're not letting anybody test drive the new cars. And I said, okay, goodbye. I then left that dealership. Noticed that on the way home, it was a Mazda dealership on Buford Drive, had one parked out front. I went inside. I met Stephen Bodie, and he showed me this car. It happened to be a manual 6-speed, perfect. I didn't want the 10-speed auto. We went out for a test drive. Granted, it was used, not new. And I fell in love, and I bought it. I purchased it. And it was actually far more enjoyable than the ZR1 for street driving. We ended up doing some track days with it. But fortunately for me, considering the time frame we were in, it had a back seat. It justified it as being a practical purchase, and my wife was cool with that. And so we were able to drive this car and enjoy it together as a family because of that reason. And after that, I sold it. I went through a few other cars since then. But then we came back. We came back to GM. We came back to an LS this time, and ended up getting a Camaro SS1LE. I can't remember all the specs on. I think it was a 2014, 2015. It was a 5th gen. And we took it to Spartan LSX in Winder. I think it was Winder, Georgia. And they cammed it, long tube headers, cat, exhaust, the Joker. We got it back. It was rowdy. We loved it. And then we decided to move to Florida. And I said, you know what? At the time, I think I had the Camaro. I had a new Civic Type R. I had an F-250. I had a garage full of toys, essentially. And I said, well, there's no way I can take all these toys with me to Florida. because we were actually moving to Florida. We were moving to an apartment. And so we sold everything. And we moved to Florida. I moved with the Macan GTS, the Porsche Macan GTS. And Michelle, my wife, she ended up moving with, she had an Expedition. And halfway through the move with U-Hauls back and forth, she goes, we're moving to Florida. We're moving to the beach. I want a Jeep. And on our way back for one of our round trips of picking up another U-Haul trailer, Angela Krause had a Jeep for sale that she loved the color combo on, and we traded in the Expedition. She bought a Jeep, and thus ended up making the video of towing a U-Haul trailer with a Jeep that you may or may not have seen on this channel. And so that's where we ended up. And we were in that position for a few years. And here we are, 2025. And I'm about to change my car. And I thought I was going to keep my car. I thought I was going to keep my Porsche Macan. And I may not, because I thought I was going to be buying a 2025 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray, a C8 Stingray. But I think I may have actually decided to go ahead and check off the box, a bucket list item, and fulfill a childhood dream of my long story made longer of getting a Z06. We haven't finalized 100% yet, but we are pretty freaking close. And depending on how it goes, this video may end with me not having this car and instead having a new to me Z06. It's crazy to think how that happened. We drove it yesterday. I test drove it yesterday, and I told myself, maybe I'm not supposed to have a Z06. Maybe I'm not supposed to. Maybe I thought I always wanted it. Never meet your heroes. For instance, Ferrari F430, always wanted one. Finally mustered up the courage to go buy one. And then I immediately found out that I did not like the car as much as I thought I did. Well, when it comes to a C8 Z06, I kind of got to say it almost like is the best of more than both worlds, from a C8 Corvette perspective, from a supercar perspective, from an Italian sports car perspective, flat plane crank V8, from a also Porsche perspective of the engine behind you and rear wheel drive and relatively quick shifting dual clutch transmission. Granted, a Corvette DCT is a PDK. It is not, but it's pretty freaking close. And for the price, I don't think you can beat it. I really don't think you can beat it. Price, performance, visual, aesthetics, I'm pretty freaking excited. But we'll see how it goes.
What's it called? Starts with H. What's it called?
Hysteria?
Hysteria.
Just looking. Just trying to check out the new color.
Thank you. Even better if the calipers are the same color. Or even